Just so that our listeners are very clear, I know that scientists like yourself are very reluctant to hazard in the area of estimating. But if we are looking at 2004, approximately that kind of money being spent, $173 million, if you had to kind of do an estimate now, what kind of money do you think we're talking about in today's dollars?
I don't like to estimate.
Yeah, I
always like the data.
I did put myself in the bamboo before, right?
But we're talking 10 years ago.
Yes.
So one can imagine, okay, if we take the rental car business, where one can easily get at those numbers, and I'm coming at this because of another point you raised about where do you get the figures, how do you analyze? This thing is not hard at all. You can easily get into the main stakeholders of the rental car business. Ask two key questions. 3. What's the size of your fleet? What's your rate outside of the carnival season? What's your rate during the carnival season? They'll tell you they have 3 rates because they have the compact vehicle, which would be like a Taida, I suppose, or the smaller vehicle. They have a middle one, and then they have more like the SUV type, right? And each of those will have a different rate. And they will tell you that when carnival comes, they have no vehicle. So if they have a fleet of 500, they can break down and tell you how many cars they have in each category. You times that up, and you have a very clear sense. And mind you, as we know in Trinidad and Tobago, there are a lot of small businesses who rent vehicles as well. So you are only getting an estimate, chances are, of the official car rental agency.
You see, no matter where I read it, and I did, like I said, a lot of reading as to what you wrote, I saw the need for statistics. Clearly, it's self-evident why we need it. One of the questions, and that's why I asked you the question, for 2 reasons. One, I wanted to know the general impact of the money that comes in at carnival time. That's the reason I'm still going to come back to you on give me an estimate as to how much money you spend. But in the area of getting these numbers together, as you just said, you ask a business, for instance, to give me your off-peak and your peak numbers. Then you're asking a lot of people to declare what their revenue was like. Now, if you have the revenue authority coming in, where people must pay taxes, you are going to be stretched to get people to give up that kind of information.
Correct.
That is going to work against such a thing, isn't it?
It can sometimes. Well, in the instance of the rental car example, the ones that you're polling, they are paying taxes. Because these are registered VAT businesses. So no harm, no foul there. But in the instances, yes, in the instance of the other stakeholders, you have got, as a researcher, to develop a level of trust. You have to engage with your stakeholders in a manner of respect. And that oftentimes, whilst you will give your estimates and what have you, you would say to them, okay, give me a round off figure. You don't have to be exact, because you recognize that you may be putting their back up against the wall. And of course, certainly when you compile your data, you don't call a name. You don't call a name or point a finger at a particular individual or individual stakeholder or business. Simply because that's not your work.
Unless you work in the central bank.
That's right.
I'm sorry. Wrong conversation.
Let's go with unless you're working at Inland Revenue. I think that's safe right now. So unless you're working at Inland Revenue or you're working for them, you don't need to have the individual.
Indeed.
But you can certainly compile your figures based on what you get across the stakeholder line. 2 things I want to say about that, which us talking about in the manner that we are doing urges me to say that, and that is actually the best kind of measuring to do, what they call the sector-wide approach, which is endorsed by the UNESCO group, which is that you engage the stakeholders. You go out and you meet with the stakeholders and you talk to them and you let them tell you what is their worth. Many of them have become a lot more business savvy in terms of documenting their efforts, in terms of the dollars and cents, if it's numbers that we're trying to get at. But analysis is also not just dollars and cents, it's numbers in terms of patronage size and how much you sell and these kinds of things. And even beyond that, measuring is also qualitative, which is that there is analysis to be had from the non-numerical side of the business. So, for example, whilst I may not give a a numerical estimate, one can certainly have a sense of what the industry is worth by simply looking at what makes up the revenue stream, so to speak. So we've already talked about two already. We spoke about the car rental business, which we would consider auxiliary. We've spoken about the accommodation sector. I think inside of there, we could, of course, mention food and beverage, not just what they eat on a daily basis when they're here, but what they consume during the event, after the event, prior to the events that they attend at Carnival.
And listeners, the voice you're hearing is Dr. Joanne Tull. The reason we are spending the time on this is because we are coming to the product, but this is a prereq. And oftentimes when folks speak in terms of doing something, we don't look at what the issue is before we talk about the solutions. We're seeking to just identify what we need here. We need statistics. And it is easy to say you need statistics. And the other question that follows that in a natural conversation, well, how do we get those statistics? That's what we're talking about, some avenues of getting these stats. So let us assume that stakeholders see the need and governments see the need to get this information together, and we get this to the CSO. Once we have done that, now we say we have a product. How do we go about marketing it? Yes. Well, how do we go about having it not just as something that is done by a small group of people, but by a nation understanding all that's involved in it and participating in it? Those are some of the questions we'll talk about when we come back. Here inside Brunch, my name is Rennie Bishop. It is 11 o'clock, 107.7. Good morning to you.